They say the eyes are the window to the soul, but when you look into the eyes of Wade Wilson, you don't see a soul. You see an abyss, a void so deep and dark that it swallows everything around it. In the quiet streets of Cape Coral, Florida, a man walked among the living with a name borrowed from a comic book anti-hero, Deadpool. But there was nothing heroic, nothing funny, and nothing fictional about the horror he was about to unleash. This wasn't a movie. This was blood, bone, and a level of cruelty that even seasoned detectives struggle to comprehend. It was October 2019. The humidity of the Florida night hung heavy in the air, masking the scent of danger. Wade Wilson, a man whose face would soon be plastered across every screen in America, was on the prowl. With tattoos carving chaos across his skin and a smile that hid a predator's teeth, he looked like a walking warning sign. But that's the terrifying thing about evil. It doesn't always scare you away. Sometimes it charms you first. It buys you a drink. It tells you exactly what you want to hear until it's too late to run. Tonight, we are descending into the mind of a man who killed for the sheer thrill of it. A man who strangled life out of the innocent with his bare hands and then laughed about it in a court of law. We are going to deconstruct the Deadpool Killer. We will look past the viral TikTok fame, past the fangirls who send him love letters in prison, and look directly at the monster hiding in plain sight. This is not just a story about murder. It is a story about the absolute absence of humanity. To understand the darkness, we must first look at the light he extinguished. Kristine Melton was 35 years old. She was described by everyone who knew her as a beacon of kindness, a woman with a quick laugh and a generous heart. On October 6th, she was doing what anyone else would be doing on a weekend, enjoying a night out at a local bar with a friend. She wasn't looking for trouble. She was looking for connection. And that is exactly what Wade Wilson preyed upon. Witnesses saw them together. Wilson was charming, articulate, and magnetic. This is the weapon of the narcissist. He mirrored her energy, made her feel safe, and convinced her that he was just a drifting soul looking for company. When the bar closed, Kristine and her friend invited Wilson back to her home. It was a decision made in kindness, a decision thousands of us make without consequence. But this time, the consequence was fatal. After the friend left, the atmosphere shifted. The mask of the charming stranger slipped, revealing the cold, unfeeling predator beneath. While Kristine slept, vulnerable and safe in her own bed, Wilson attacked. There was no argument, no heat of passion, just a cold, calculated decision to snuff out a life. He strangled her. The intimacy of strangulation tells us something terrifying about the killer. They want to feel the life leave the body. They want total control. Wilson didn't just kill Kristine. He erased her future, stole her car, and walked out of her home as if he had just finished a mundane chore. He left her body wrapped in sheets, a discarded object in his twisted game, and drove off into the morning light, still hungry for more. If Kristine's murder was a crime of opportunity, what happened next was a crime of pure, unadulterated hunting. Hours after leaving Kristine's lifeless body, Wilson was driving her stolen car when he spotted Diane Ruiz. Diane was 43, a mother, and a hard worker who was simply walking to her job at a local bar. She didn't know Wilson. She had never met him. To him, she was just a target moving in the wild. Wilson pulled over. He used the oldest trick in the book. He asked for directions. He lured her close to the vehicle, playing the confused, harmless traveler. But as soon as she was within reach, the trap snapped shut. He forced her into the car. What happened inside that vehicle is a nightmare of struggle and fear, but it was how he ended her life that revealed the true depth of his depravity. After strangling her, he realized she was still breathing. He didn't panic. He didn't flee. He shoved her out of the car onto the pavement. And then, with a level of brutality that shocked the forensic pathologists, he ran her over. Once. Then he reversed. And he ran her over again. He did this repeatedly until she was like spaghetti, as he later described to his own father with a chilling lack of remorse. This wasn't just murder, this was overkill. It was rage manifest. He dumped her body in a field like trash. In the span of a few hours, 2 women were gone, leaving behind devastated families, all because Wade Wilson decided he wanted to play God with their lives. What creates a creature like Wade Wilson? When we look at his mugshot, we see the tattoos, the swastikas, the stitches, the "why so serious" Joker references. These are not just ink. They are a billboard for his internal chaos. Psychologists warn us about the dark triad: narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. Wilson embodies all 3. He is a classic narcissist who believes he is the main character of reality, and everyone else is just a prop. During his interrogation and later his trial, he didn't show fear. He showed boredom. He smirked. He played to the cameras. He treated the courtroom like his personal stage. This is a man who called his biological father after the murders, not to confess in guilt, but to brag. He recounted the details of the killings with the excitement of a child telling a story about a video game. He lacked the biological hardware to feel empathy. To him, Kristine and Diane were not human beings with dreams and families. They were objects he broke because he could. This is the most dangerous type of offender because there is no reasoning with them. There is no bargaining. They do not operate on the same moral frequency as the rest of humanity. We are seeing a disturbing trend in society where people like this are glorified. We need to send a message that we stand with the victims, not the villains. I want you to pause right now and comment the phrase "justice served" below. Do it for Kristine. Do it for Diane. Let the algorithm know that we demand justice, not entertainment. The timeline of Wade Wilson's capture is almost as bizarre as the crimes themselves. After killing 2 women, he didn't go into hiding. He went to see an ex-girlfriend, Melissa. He was driving the dead woman's car, covered in the invisible stain of his crimes, and he walked into Melissa's place of work demanding help. But the cracks were showing. He was manic, erratic, and the facade of the cool guy was crumbling. He confessed to Melissa. He told her he had done something bad, but he didn't stop there. He actually called his biological father, Stephen Testaseca, and laid it all out. He admitted to slaughtering 2 women. This is a crucial moment in the psychology of the killer, the need for recognition. He wanted his father to know what he was capable of. He wanted credit for his work. But his father did something Wade didn't expect. He turned him in. The police were alerted, and the manhunt began. When officers finally cornered him, Wilson didn't surrender quietly. He barricaded himself. But eventually, the law won. When they slapped the cuffs on him, there were no tears, no shaking hands. He looked at the officers with that same dead-eyed stare. The forensic evidence was overwhelming. They had the car. They had the DNA. They had the phone calls recorded where he admitted to everything. It should have been an open and shut case, but the real circus was just beginning. Fast forward to 2024. The trial of Wade Wilson begins, and something sickening happens on the internet. Instead of revulsion, a corner of social media, specifically TikTok, starts to romanticize him. Thousands of women began posting videos swooning over his looks, his suits, and his bad boy demeanor. They called him the Deadpool Killer. They wrote letters to the judge pleading for mercy, claiming he could be fixed. This phenomenon is known as Hybristophilia, sexual attraction to those who commit outrageously violent crimes. It is a dark glitch in human nature. While the families of Kristine and Diane sat in the courtroom weeping, forced to listen to the gruesome details of how their loved ones were crushed and strangled, strangers on the internet were making fan edits of the murderer. Wilson fed off this energy. In court, he constantly adjusted his suit, winked at the cameras, and flashed hand signals. He loved every second of it. It proved his narcissistic delusion correct. He could do the most evil thing imaginable, and people would still worship him. But the jury saw through the tattoos and the cheap suit. They saw the autopsy photos. They heard the crunch of bone described by the medical examiners. They realized that the man sitting before them wasn't a misunderstood broken soul. He was a rabid dog that had been let off the leash. The justice system is often slow, but in the case of Wade Wilson, it was definitive. The jury recommended the death penalty. When the verdict was read, guilty on all counts, sentenced to death, Wilson did not cry. He didn't hang his head in shame. He simply asked his lawyer, "Does this mean I have to wear a different color jumpsuit?" That single sentence tells you everything you need to know. Until his very last breath, he will remain incapable of understanding the gravity of what he took. He took Kristine Melton, a woman who offered him kindness. He took Diane Ruiz, a mother walking to work. He left a trail of destruction that will never fully heal. But there is a lesson here for all of us. Wade Wilson didn't look like a monster to Kristine when she met him at the bar. He was funny. He was charming. He was human. The terrifying truth is that evil doesn't always hide in the shadows. Sometimes it sits on the bar stool next to you, buys you a drink, and smiles. Stay vigilant. Trust your instincts. Because you never know who is wearing a mask, waiting for the moment to take it off.